is it?
Pasa pasa,
Time.
pasa pasa.
Time. Every girl, every girl, every girl, every girl. I go me a
Pasa pasa.
Stop, girl, wine, drink and feel it.
Drink and rave till the morning light, my
What it? Center, 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 center. Have a drop stand.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We certainly hope everyone is continuing to stay safe in this pandemic. Can you believe the weather is changing and it's getting cold? We were beating the pandemic, but here in our parts, the numbers are on the rise again.
Again.
Right? So let's just do roll call for the podcast audience. So this is Shar, Carrie,
Hey.
Soph,
Hi, everyone.
Mish.
Hey.
Hello, ladies. So today we're going to be talking about voting. Fun. Is everybody excited?
Yay.
I'm the camera, you know. It's such a stress with the politics. Anything even remotely near to politics is like stress these days. However, it's the season of voting in general, right? And so it's useful, I think, right now to discuss voting and what it means to you. Why do you do it? So I know in Jamaica, we just had elections in September. And we know that the Jamaica Labour Party, led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, they won by like a humongous landslide, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, why are you so excited?
Hello?
Disclaimer. We don't know what she's cheering for. Let the record show she learned everything by osmosis. Anyway.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, so they did win, and there were concerns voiced by both sides, you know, critics, commentators, everyone about the low voter turnout, right? Only 37% of the voting population showed up, which could be due, of course, to holding the election during COVID-19. You know, politics, like everything in Jamaica, is complicated, so maybe a little bit more. But anyways, I just started with Jamaica because for us ladies here and for some of our listeners, our first intro into politics and voting may not have been here in the US. So I just thought I would start with just where we remember the first time we were introduced to politics and voting as a child or as a teen. Like, what do you remember about voting and politics? When was the first time you voted and what did you feel about the experience? So who wants to, make Sophie start. Go on, man. Go on, liberate. Go ahead.
Well. Oh, God. Wait, did you just call me a laborer?
Yes, you did. Because you were very excited.
Listen, green, no, in all honesty though, Shar is right. I really know nothing about Jamaican politics. All I know is from what my dad has told me. Politics, I was truly introduced to politics here in America. My first time voting was here in America. I didn't know such a thing in Jamaica. When it was voting time, the people came around and gave us money and offer us free food. That is like politics. All I remember.
We call that curry goat politics, okay?
Oh,
this is what the title of the thing should be called, curry goat politics, because that is what that is.
If I'm going to be honest, that's the only thing I remember. And I mean, I've been there a long time, so I wouldn't have had a chance to vote in Jamaica. But I vividly remember the truck driving through our community and was like giving out $500 bills. So I remember that. But when I came here to America and I was able to vote, you know, it was like a privilege, a dream come true, because, you know, a lot of my ancestors fought for this right. So I was super, super excited when the opportunity arrived. I remember going in the line for the first time and I was like, I'm doing this. Yes! I'm going to cast my ballot. It was so exciting. But yeah, my first introduction to politics and voting was here in America. And honestly, I think I would like to go back to a simpler times when I was back in Jamaica and not voting.
I'm sorry, that is not simpler times.
super tired. Because honestly, right now, I don't feel like we're doing politics. This is all politics. There's no more politics. It's just like dog eat dog. Um, there's no more politics in what's going on right now. I'm sorry. I don't know what this is anymore.
But that's everywhere. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
Do you wanna take it away, Misha?
So my parents were never big into politics. They weren't like, you see how you have people walking on the street and get into fight over orange and green, and never into politics. I know they voted, and I know that we were very, very orange. But I don't know how I know that. Like, it's not like they were wearing orange. It's not like, it's just that the policies that were aligned with the parties, you just know certain things. I've never voted in Jamaica, though I did work at a polling station once. At some point when I moved back, so after 2007, at some point I worked at a polling station. My mother works at a polling station every election, and she at this point is like the supervisor of the polling. I don't know, child. I don't know. She is something, but she does it every time. Get there 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't leave till poll close. 9 o'clock. I don't even know, night.
Wow.
But so she does that now. My father just stays home, and him don't want to hear nothing about it. He have no, like, him don't want to have no parts to it. But that's as much as I remember. I remember it being a big thing once they call election. Stay a yard. You don't go into places that you're not supposed to go. These are things that my parents probably, this is probably why I know what parties were aligned to. You don't go here, you don't go there. You don't get involved in people who are this color, that color. You stay away from it, because that's when it becomes important, is when you're hearing all that stuff. But I mean, I have never voted. The first time I voted was in the, what do you call that election just now, in earlier parts of this year? I don't know what that was.
Oh, the primaries?
The primaries. That's the first time I've ever voted. I never voted in Jamaica. I've never voted in the US until now. Well, I just voted, so.
Early voted.
I early voted.
Go, girl.
So, outside of that, I have no real history about it. It's not like they were saying you need to vote because X, Y, and Z. But I left Jamaica when I was 16. So, and then when I got back, you know, as I said, I worked at the polling station, but I still didn't even vote because I honestly didn't care. My vote was in Harborview. I wasn't really living in Harborview. Harborview was very orange at that point. We are now very green, but we were very orange.
How does that happen?
Because Harborview extends now up into a different area. So now I don't want to call it the ghetto, but they move up into the hills. And you know, lots of squatters and lots of things and curry goat politics. They give up people things, and all of a sudden them change from. Plus, I'm pretty sure Andrew Holness' wife is the I don't know what the MP in that area, whatever she is. And you know, once it's is his wife, it is what it is. So it's very green right now, which if you ask Mo, it's very disheartening. Oh, them cannot know. Anyway, let's not get into it.
Yes, ma'am. I will promote the Jamaican people thing.
That's right. I'll leave that alone.
Harry, you want to go or you want me?
That's hilarious. I don't have much to add. I think I had the same experience. I came here as a teen, so I didn't vote in Jamaica, but much like you all have said, Jamaican, I remember election time being dangerous. I think as Mish alluded to, it was a time where you stayed at home, because there was just a lot going on, whether it was bribing or violence, or like there was always a lot going on. So I remember just instructions to not be out and about during election time. And of course, you know, Soph mentioned this, there was, you know, just all kinds of money flying around, new walls getting painted, you know, road fixing. It was a lot of that going on around election time too. So But I do think when I came here and I was able to vote, I remember being excited to vote, but also I think for the first, I can't remember the very first kind of election I voted in. It was probably a local election. But then when President Obama's election came around, it was like, half your reach.
Right. Yeah.
I had foot surgery that year.
You had foot surgery?
I had foot surgery that year. I had a boot on my foot. I had surgery on my toes that year. Half a reach. I was limping.
To the pole, okay?
Limping to the pole. I had to make it. Okay. That was what? 08.
Yeah.
08. Yep. So that's my view on voting. It's something you have to, if you live in the game,
you gotta do it.
People have died for you to vote. I think it's
yeah. That's my thing, Carrie.
Yeah.
Char, what about you?
So I wouldn't say my family was political growing up, but they were very social justice focused, I would say. And they cared a lot about the plight of the uneducated and the poor and the disenfranchised in Jamaica. So I heard a lot about politics and, scamming and
another green part of that.
And all of the
what are you talking about?
just all the things that politicians do to our people that doesn't uplift us, So in my family, it was a big deal. Right. And I think for both my side, my maternal and paternal family, because my grandparents never went past, I don't know if any of them graduated high school, to be honest, but because they were poor, and my family, who I think they're actually quite educated, I think because they were educated on their policies from the Manley administration, they just automatically, even though they both live in very green areas, are not green at all. Yeah. And because of the opportunities that were afforded them, right? And my parents are pretty educated, and they would not be who they were if people didn't take an interest in uplifting the poor and the disenfranchised, and they could take opportunities. So that was then. I think everyone would agree now that you can't, apart from the color, there really is no difference between green and orange these days. And more complicated than that. But to be honest, I don't know if there's much of a difference. And that's what we're kind of finding, I feel, even here sometimes. But I always took an interest in voting, not because I thought it could change anything, but because I think it's a part to, to participate in the process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'm one of those people.
Yep.
Actually in college, I don't know if any of you did it, but they used to pay us $70 or something. And we used to walk around and knock doors and encourage people to vote and call people and whatever. So I used to do that in college. And then I got my citizenship. No, girl, I used to get a little extra money. It was right there on George Street. Get on the bus. They dropped us off somewhere. We used to walk around knocking. Yep.
I didn't know that either.
I remember doing that.
Yeah, oh, okay.
You did it too, Carrie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
While we were roommates,
they were wherever the money was. Okay.
No, it's a couple times. Get out our neighborhood. We're
that had to be. It wasn't freshman year. It had to be sophomore year.
Yeah, it was sophomore year. I probably only did it 1 year. But anyway, so that's I shook the hands of George Bush, and I'll tell you how. So I started college in 2000, and I went to Drew University my freshman year before I transferred to Rutgers. And the president, provost, whatever of Drew was Tim Kaine. I don't know if anybody knows him, but he's a prominent Republican.
Yep.
And so when George Bush was running, the semester started in September, he had an event there.
Okay.
And because Drew had, 2 Black people, me being one, once we showed up, they're like, usher them to the front. Usher them to the front. So we were put in the front. And so I got to shake George Bush's hand. My friend got a kiss on the cheek, and that was on the school newspaper. Of course, you know, guys. And I was like 3 months in from Jamaica, had no clue about who or what. I mean, I knew he was Republican, but I really did not have an opinion, and I couldn't vote anyway. But so, anyways, so that was that. And then, you know, guys, it got spicy between November and like January with the recounts, and that was like the excitement year. So anyway, come to when I get my citizenship, I would say since I've gotten my citizenship, I voted every year. Like, I'm that person. Yeah. I show up when there's no one on the ballot, and I'm like, okay, there's one person on the ballot, I'm going in to vote. I vote in special elections all the time. Yeah. Just because I guess like Soul, like Carrie, what like Misha is saying, you know, yes, it's not gonna solve problems, and yes, it's bare politics. But guess what? There is a reason why they keep redrawing districts. There's a reason why they're putting so much money in this and so much scamming in this. It matters. So, you know, for whatever little bit it counts, I'm just gonna, like, you know, put a word in. So
that's true.
To get us moving, I want to ask, do you guys know people who like either don't vote or refuse to vote? And how do you interact with them? How do you feel about it?
Listen, I will take this one. So this listen, like I said, voting to me, it's more than just going and casting my ballot, right? I look back on my ancestors, and I see how hard or how much blood was shed and life that was lost in giving me this right. As a Black person in the United States, I don't care if my vote changes nothing. I owe it to every life that was lost to give me this opportunity to vote. And this person that I know, I'm going to refrain from calling names, but she had the audacity to put on Facebook, public on Facebook, that she has never voted. She will never vote because it's a waste of time and she don't see the purpose of it. And I'm like, well, you know what? Pack up your stuff and go to Mars or somewhere else where nobody fought to give you an opportunity. Because that is so unfair for people to have died to give you this right. And you're sitting here talking about it's not going to change everything. The way I look at it is if every single Black person were to say that, nobody will vote. Yeah. So what if I say my one vote doesn't count, and then you say your one vote doesn't count, and then a million people say their one vote doesn't count? That's a million votes. You see what I'm saying? So in my mind, you can't look at it like that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I unfriended her. I was so upset.
That was not to bring it back to Jamaica, but if you're watching these recent elections and the one vote don't count, if you were watching Jamaica elections,
one vote does count.
By 7,
it does count. And I think that we can't say
old
that.
people or wheel them out of them bed.
We shouldn't say that. We can't say that one vote doesn't. Your one vote count, because if everyone one vote goes in,
right,
that's a ton load of votes.
Even if your vote doesn't count, though, because I mean, people use that excuse all the time. Even if your vote does not count, even if every Black person in the area voted and the person still won by a landslide, at the end of the day, you are exercising your right. That way, when people say, okay, I would like X, Y, and Z to happen, they're passing these laws and it's not in my best interest. If you never vote, you have no say. You allowed these people to go into power to make choices on behalf of you that are not to the benefit of you. So how can you even say anything?
That's my thing, Misha. I feel like it's the least you can do, because it's like I agree, there is way more to be done to solve the problems. But are we donating money? Are we volunteering time? We out there advocating? I'm not like out there marching all the time. I'm not doing the most that there can be done. So if you're not doing nothing, at the very least, vote.
Like, these are the same people, mind you, that are complaining as to how bad everything is. Okay, everything is bad. Great. What are you doing? Right? You're not voting. You're not marching. You're not doing. So what are you doing? So stop complaining. sit down in it and keep your mouth shut because you're doing nothing to help the situation but complaining. It's one thing I've always said to my coworkers: if you're gonna come with a complaint, come with a solution. Right? This is not working. Okay, great. What can we do? Right?
Right.
So
but you do have
say
people who are
that
coming with solutions.
Hmm?
Carry, and that's fine, right? So if you're coming up with a solution, great. But you're not doing anything, and the one little thing that you can do, which is vote, you're not doing that either. But you have
Right.
a million of one reasons to what's not working in the country. That is what annoys me. I'm not going to tell you to go march on the street. I'm not going to tell you to, but that one thing at least, cast your vote. It is your right.
What were you saying, Carrie? I'm curious.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I was just saying, I think people who I see are opposed to voting, it stems from a lack of trust in the process. And I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Whether or not they should or shouldn't, sure, I think you should, because that's what I'm doing, right? But I also think everyone comes to voting with their own values around it, like anything else. It's like whatever, marriage, relationships, right? You're bringing your value, whatever that is, to the decision. So when I talk to people who are saying they're not going to vote, doesn't matter, it can be a little frustrating because it doesn't align with my values. But I'm just like, well, sometimes when I hear some of them out, I'm like, that's actually a valid reason, because you don't have trust in the process. Like, so much has happened. When people look and say, well, where are Black people right now? For example, are we any better off than we were 50 years ago? When you look at some of that information, there's some credence to the point, right? So I don't know. I mean, it does make me a little frustrated, but I also realize that it makes me frustrated because it doesn't align with the way I think.
So here's my question.
Mhm.
Well, actually, I think I have two questions for that, but because you brought up Black people and where we are or whatever, I'm curious about, I don't know if you guys were, what I'm going to bring us to this current election season. And I remember, we had like, 50 people run initially, but anyway. And the question was around, we did have like a basketball team, but anyway.
Yes.
And
No
the
more than a
question
basketball team. Go on.
that were circulating was around like the Black agenda,
Right.
what that is, and voting your interests. And initially it seemed, and there was a lot of like, I don't know, contention about you're gonna make people stay home, people not gonna vote because you're talking about a Black agenda, and no, they won't vote for Biden, and like things like that I remember hearing. And I wonder what your thoughts are on forcing and like pushing your issue and holding your vote, because there is a culture here where it's almost assumed, and specifically our demographic, Black women, that we go hard for the Democratic Party more than Black men, more than any demographic, right? So I wonder what your thoughts are on kind of holding your votes and saying, or like demanding more from from politicians.
I will say that I think when you're making decisions about voting, you have to reconcile what's good for me as a person, what's good for me as part of a larger community, what's good for my Black people. And maybe that's just me overthinking it, but I think as people make decisions sometimes about voting, it's sometimes just about yourself, but some people are voting as a collective, right? And what should we do as a collective? I do think Black people have to leverage their power and hold people accountable, hold politicians accountable for what they say they're going to do, right? Advancing the people. I think that's important. Has that happened historically? In some ways, but I think to a larger extent, that's true for all things, right? Whether you're Black or not. Like, as a people, we elect people to represent us in the system, in this political system. And then they get in, and it's it's kind of they get in and then it doesn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, I think
so. It's like what recourse do we have? Okay, we don't vote them in again. But then we forget. We're easy to forget about things. So election time comes around again, and it's like, all right, we like second chances, third chances, fourth chances, fifth chances. And so you end up with someone in there for a long time in office, depending on what the role is. And it's harder to hold people accountable, I feel like, over time, because it's like, all right, we know the evil we have. Let's just keep them.
Yeah, I feel like voting is one part of the process, and so I think if all you do is vote, I mean that's good. Vote. Right. I'm on team vote. But if all you do is vote, then you might find yourself frustrated. You might find yourself saying, like Carrie saying, feeling like you don't trust the process, because the process isn't voting. You know, I always want to remind people it's one part. So one part is voting. The next part is, of course, if you can and you have the resources and time to keep people accountable, have them know that you're watching and you're listening and you're engaged. That's another part of it. Another part is probably to connect with your community, right? Because community building is, I think, a part of political power as well. So, you know, there's a lot to it. So I can imagine someone out there who's hustling with no time, probably not even enough resources or education, like, to really follow up on the process. I can see them getting disillusioned, right? But I wish there was a way to, like, I don't know, make them hip to the, you know, you not voting is not a thing. It's not giving you power.
Right. I agree.
But and besides, I think it's a thing now because we're talking about the presidential election and our current president, good, bad, or ugly. Good, bad, or ugly. The rest was said in my head. I think our current president evokes a lot of emotion, and so it's a thing this year. But I want to remind everyone that, like, your mayor, well, in New Jersey, our mayors pick our, like, police chief, you know? So when we're out there mad about police brutality, think about the mayor. Your governor in New Jersey, at least, I don't know everybody's state. Some of these are voted, but some of them are appointed. And so the mayor appoints our chief of police. Our governor appoints our district attorney. So it's like, you know, some of it matters, because when you have some district attorneys, I don't know if you keep up with, like, Baltimore and Atlanta, some of those cities, and you see the work that's being done, and you see the partnership between the legislative and then also the police force, right? Then you kind of know that, you know, if we can key in a little bit, it could be a valuable thing, because if we don't have much say federally, we certainly can control what's happening in our communities.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know if anybody is watching debates. I was just gonna wrap up by asking you how you're feeling and how you're engaging this election season, because this is a short one. So I just want to get so I'll just start with, I don't find this entertaining, so I don't watch debates. Anything I need to know, I read it, and I just stay out of the fray. But how are you guys engaging this election
I'll tell you the same exact thing, but I mean, I have watched both of them so far. I did not watch the one where they did the town halls. No. I don't watch it for the information, because there are not only is there a lot of lies and a lot of misinformation. I am watching it to see how they are reacting to certain things, and also how the media spins it once it's all over. I'm watching it for the process, not for the information, because there's no information to be had from that. It's not like I'm learning anything new from the debates. Nothing, except this person is doing X, Y, and Z in an attempt to do whatever. I'm learning more about them as a person, as opposed to what they are proposing that they'll give. Because at the end of the day, already know which direction I'm going.
You already voted.
Right. So, I mean, I already know the information. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask is, and I didn't want to hijack it and I didn't want to add any more time, but as you guys were talking, I'm like, do I prefer somebody to not vote or do I prefer somebody to be a misinformed voter? Somebody who's like, well, Trump said X, Y, and Z, and that's important to me, and I don't care that he's lying, so I'm voting for him.
So they can stay home. They can stay home this year. They can vote for Trump next time.
The other way also, I mean, you have people who are voting one way just cause, you know, whatever. There's no information. They don't care. And it's just like in Jamaica. They don't care what orange or green has to say. They don't care what they're offering. Their family's been orange. Their family's been green all along. They're just going with it. Misinformed voters. And I'm like, do I prefer a misinformed voter or do I care if people just vote?
But there are different levels to being misinformed.
Everybody has the right to their vote. Go ahead.
Everybody has the right to their vote. And there are different levels, I think, to being misinformed, because I do believe Black people voting Democratic aligns just as much as Jamaicans voting for orange because everybody in your family voted for orange. Mm-hmm. It's what we are taught historically, right? Our grandparents, right? So should we be more critical voters? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But a lot of how we vote is informed by someone teaching us, right?
Education.
So as soon as we're able to like be more critical, I think, yes, you'll get a deeper meaning behind the voting process. And honestly, the more you dig, the less likely you are to say, I'm just going to vote this way. Mm-hmm. You'll start asking more questions because at different spaces, you're going to connect with people because of their policies versus their party.
Correct.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So if I was asking if you've been watching the debate.
No.
Same. Yeah. Mish says she watches it just to kind of, I guess, to see the personality and the person's ability to like deal with the situation more than the information, because a lot of people have been saying they need to have a fact checker at the debate because people kind of they do. It's just a habit. So, but I think the consensus among us is that we're not really in it for the debate. And besides, Misha has already voted. I didn't vote yet, but I'm hoping to vote early next week.
Yeah. Sent me my ballot in the mail. I'm trying to decide if I want to fill it out and send it in. I think I prefer to go in.
To go in.
Yeah.
So
I would never suggest anyone in Texas to mail-in vote. I literally, within my city, and the city's not even that big, they like broke into mailboxes. I'm like, what? Y'all see? What? Yes. And I mean, where I live is pretty red. It might be a little purple right now, but we live out in the boonies where it's still pretty red. It's not that blue yet.
It's not the metro.
Right. Center. Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, very blue. And as much as I'm in Houston, if you see the dots on the map, blue, 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 red. So and you are bringing the cities within Texas, they're bringing in more people from places like California, from suburbs. They're spreading into Texas. So I feel like at some point it might be purple. If it's not purple this year, I am crossing my fingers it's going to be purple this year. But only because I like the diversity. It being just completely red is no. I don't like seeing anywhere red. That just means that people are depending on people to vote, not because they are informed about the policies, but because their parents told them that way. I like it to be purple and it go one way or another, depending on what the people are bringing that year or for the 4 years or whatever. So I just don't like to see a place that's completely red. But where I am is, I'm pretty sure more red than it is blue. And to see people breaking into mailboxes.
Craziness.
Like literally breaking into a mailbox. Like the front of the mailbox is gone. Like, I'm sorry, what is happening, people? It's not that serious.
So what you could do, I agree with you. I prefer to just go vote early, but I did the primaries by mail and I took mine to the county office and drop it in the drop box. So if you have to vote by mail, you could drive it over to your county office any time of night because it's right outside and just drop it in the drop box. It might make you feel safer until they start stealing those.
I'm going in person. I need to know that somebody got it. Okay?
Yeah, no, I'm going.
I don't want nobody telling me nothing about this here vote not making it.
And to be honest, even though New Jersey is like always blue for the president, I'm sorry, they mess up down the ballot all the time. And this year, anyways, when I close, I'm about to tell y'all all the down ballot votes. But anyway, but you know,
I'm like, why are y'all watching debates? In my mind, I'm like, I already know.
But the debate isn't for that.
The debate doesn't even if you didn't know, the debate doesn't help because the information is not always accurate from both sides.
Yes.
Go read their site, just go read online. That is pure entertainment. It's like how much you pay for ad because.
But there's no ad in the debate.
Oh, there isn't? I don't know. I don't watch them.
It's literally 90 minutes of them going back and forth, fly pitching, back and forth.
And get the outtakes.
Not the fly. Why the fly get a shout out?
Yo, the fly deserves a shout out, okay?
A shout out.
That's right. So it's 90 minutes of them going back and forth. But as I said, it's not about the information. I do not retain anything they say.
But Mish, even if it's about personality, I'm like, we know these people.
I don't know these people. I don't see them anywhere. Don't forget that this is a pandemic where they did this back and forth during the primaries. And so you see a little piece of their personality here, you see a little piece of their personality there. You see an ad, you see them talking about them on social media. But you don't really see them sitting down and talking for 90 minutes unless you go to a town hall or you watch a town hall online. But this is my first
anyway.
Well, I mean, outside of that, I'm not even talking about Trump. I'm talking about Trump also. Yes, Trump also. But and Trump is very entertaining. Don't get that man is.
That's the
height of entertainment.
I am unentertained by him.
Yeah, he is the height of trollness.
I can live without. I just feel like there's so much going on in my life right now to dedicate my good brain cell to the. No.
Listen, I said his name enough today. I'm done. Y'all keep going.
Don't forget that I am the one that watches terrible TV and tells y'all all about it. So I would be the one to watch the debates because of that. I mean, I
think, let me just tell you something. If you think y'all are American, let me just tell you about my Jamaican people. They are on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox like they about to vote this year.
It's true.
Like everybody in Jamaica is asking me about American politics. I'm like, what y'all worry about y'all?
Because when America sneeze,
child,
okay.
That is facts on facts on facts. Okay, literally, that is literally how it is.
So lovely, ladies. This is supposed to be a truncated show, so I'm gonna wrap us out. If anyone has any, this is not really a topic that probably lends itself to takeaways, but unless it is, please vote if you can. But does anyone have any final words or anything to?
Well, I will say, as Shara said, just vote. If you can early vote, that would be better. But I mean, your vote. It matters. I will not say it counts. I will say it matters. The fact that you vote matters. And that's important. I also say that you should be informed. So do the research. If you're going to vote, you might as well try to make the best decision that you should make. So I would say try to get as much information. Don't rely on the debates. Because I mean, even the fly knows that that's a load of crap. So, so yeah, that's my 2 cents, literally.
I would suggest voting early. Do not wait for the day. Voting is crazy on a regular election. This is not a regular election. So if you are going to vote, do it early. I think they're pushing this, making a vote plan or a plan to vote. However you want to call it, if you are going to vote, find out where you should be voting, how you can vote wherever, in person, mail in, etc. Just don't wait until the day of, and then it's like a
Hot mess.
do or die situation, and the electricity's off and the ballots are locked, and all the shenanigans that's about to go down.
Oh my god. Facts.
Whole power outage on the East Coast. Just
Okay.
Whole power outage.
Never know.
never know.
That is- I would recommend for people who are using paper vote. A friend of mine just sent me a message. I don't know if you guys got it, because apparently it's going around for people who are doing their mail-in ballots. Be very careful when you're filling in your ballot. No extra mark of any. If you have a 2-year-old like I do, keep the ballot far away from them. If there's one little mark, they're throwing that it's no good. So just be very careful when you're doing it, really carefully. I agree with Carrie. Try to do early voting if you can. Go in if you can. However you do, just exercise your right to vote, right? Be informed, yes. Whatever way you go, however you choose to vote, exercise the right that was given to you to vote. That is all I have to say. I'm not going to tell people who to vote for, but it's a right that you were granted. So use it, because it was given to you.
A right that a lot of people fought for.
Yes, died for, bloodshed.
Yep. So I think that's a good place to end. I want to remind us all that even if you didn't register and you probably can't vote this time around, please register, because local elections matter. I mentioned to you guys, your school board, who's on your school board matters, who is running your community matters, right? They appoint a lot of the people you interact with, your children will interact with on a day-to-day basis. So still register if you probably missed this chance. And if you are on the fence, just so you know, you're not just voting for Trump or Biden. I wanted everyone to know that there are a lot of important down the ballot votes. Just so you know, there are 435 House seats, 11 governors up for vote, 10 attorney generals, 7 secretary of state,
Jesus.
277 state appellate court seats, and 33 Senate seats. So don't think it's just Trump versus Biden. I don't like Trump. I don't like Biden. There's a lot of stuff up. And if you're in like certain places, like here, we're voting on like some marijuana and some other things. So please go in, see what's on your ballot, exercise your right to vote. It won't solve the problems in this country, but I think it's one step that you can take to participate in like trying to just advance.
Yes, it won't solve them. It won't solve them right now.
Right.
Right. So,
but we hope that sometime, somewhere down along the road.
over the rainbow.
Oh, mercy.
All right. Thank you
Over the
so much
rainbow.
for listening, everyone, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all don't judge me.